Hi, everybody. I'm Jeff Kester, your association executive. I'm here with the executive vice president for MLS and technology, Leah Ingalsbe, for what I'm sure will be another stellar GSBOR video. Today, we got to talk about copyright because it's an issue that comes up quite often, and it's not only in our MLS rules, but it's like a big old federal law. So we
it's
probably
kind
ought
of
to
a
talk.
big deal.
Yeah.
Right.
So what's in the rules about it?
Our rules state that the MLS has the right to remove or prohibit any information or any photos or content that has been produced by another entity, and that includes another listing agent.
Okay. So how do I, as an agent, best avoid violating the rule?
Well, you need to know what the rule states. So be familiar with the rules and regulations of the MLS. But not only that, there's a lot of laws that pertain to copyright that are not specifically outlined in our rules and regulations that you are required by federal law to follow.
All right. So just to make sure that so to not violate the photos rule, what do I definitely need to do to keep from doing that?
Well, if you're not using your own photos that you created, first of all, you need to get permission in writing from the person that has the rights to use them. So you might want to use a previous listing agent's photos, but if you do that, make sure you get it in writing that they're stating you're allowed to use those. The other thing is that if you have a seller that hands you some photos, what you'll want to do is ask where those photos come from. So maybe they took them themselves, maybe they took them off another third-party site. So this may happen where a seller listed their home previously back in the springtime and now it's winter, and they say, I really like how my home looked with all, we've got beautiful gardens. You want to do your part to ask where those came from and to explain that those they may be owned by the photographer or the previous listing agent if they did not take them themselves.
Is that how? So photos is how this rule is violated the most?
It sure is. Another way that it's violated is by taking a photo off another third-party website. So, for example, you might use Google or Apple Maps in your listing information. And you can do that, but you have to attribute it correctly. So you have to include where it came from, the data source, and then you might also want to check the policy for Google Earth or Google Street View.
Because they've got very specific, big rules on that.
They do, and that's something that we're going to link to in this video as well, so that you have that information, but whatever platform you're using, make sure that you know the policy. We have seen an increased use of people using Street View on their photo, and even though it's a closed listing, maybe it was just put in for comps, Google prohibits the use of screenshots of Street Views. So as an MLS, we would not want to promote that as well.
They have a big legal team.
They sure do. So we want you to have those resources. NAR is really excellent as well to provide articles on copyright law.
So to turn this around a little bit, if I'm an agent and I feel like somebody has, violated my copyright on the photos that I took or that I paid for, what do I do?
Absolutely. What you'll do is report it to the MLS, and the easiest way to do that is go to the listing itself where those photos were copied and use the button that's there on the top right of your screen that says report error and let us know. And then what we'll do is we'll reach out and ask the person that has listed it using your photos to remove those. Now, there might be an instance where you see those photos not on a listing but used in another way that you did not authorize. If that is your creative work and your content, you have the right to protect that product. And so you can also report that to support@gsbor.com so that we can then follow up.
Yeah. So it's not just, we don't want to be the photo police or anything, but there are some really strict guidelines, some really strict laws, federal laws about copyright, and so by handling it with someone, you might save them a lot of money and in legal fees if they inadvertently.
That's
did that.
right. It's all about risk management.
Yeah.
And so to avoid getting yourself in any liability situations or litigation, you need to know that you're responsible for the content that you put on the MLS. You're responsible for knowing that you're using it according to copyright guidelines.
All right, everybody. As promised, another Emmy-winning GSBOR video on a very exciting topic of copyright, but it's one that is important, and it goes all the way back to federal law and protecting our members from copyright violations. Just be aware out there and be greater.